I am totally prepared for people to say that this is a huge overreaction to just the first game of the season. But let me just tell you guys that when I was watching the Phoenix Suns out of all teams play late last night, I kept thinking to myself, dang, this team actually doesn't look that bad. Okay, yes, they were playing against the Dallas Mavericks, and yes, once again, it was the first game of the season, so we can't really draw any solid conclusions. But for the first time in a very long time, when I was watching the Phoenix Suns play, I was watching a team out there that actually looked like it could compete in games. And not only that, I was noticing what players they had on their roster and their rotations, and I was like, they actually got some talent and depth on this team too. I do have to say really quick though that the Suns getting a real starting point guard is an absolute must. No shots at Isaiah Cannon, he could be a solid backup point guard for the Suns, but come on, we all know that in 2018 or 2017 or any year in the NBA for that matter, Isaiah Cannon should not be your starting point guard. Outside of their starting and backup point guard situation though, on their bench they have Josh Jackson, TJ Warren, Tyson Chandler, and also just signed Jamal Crawford. That right there is a better bench than 90% of the league, so their bench is beyond nice. But we all know that if this team is going to do anything this year, it's going to come down to the duo of DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker, and that's where things get really good, because DeAndre Ayton, first off, he looked really good in the summer league, and then he looked really good in the preseason, and now, well, he looks really good in the regular season too. And keep in mind that he was being defended by still one of the better defensive centers in the NBA in DeAndre Jordan, and from the opening tip, he was dominating DeAndre Jordan. 18 points on 8 of 11 shooting, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. No turnovers. This guy ain't no typical rookie at all. Joel Embiid was calling him out in the draft and all throughout the summer, but you might have your work cut out for you. You might have some actual competition now. Don't take this guy lightly. But Ayton is only half of the equation, of course. And the other half is Devin Booker. Now, this year is about to be Devin Booker's coming out party. Man said at the end of last season that he is tired of all the losing and tired of missing the playoffs. Now, the Suns still might miss the playoffs in the loaded West, but this year, Booker and Ayton are about to make sure that they at least put the rest of the league on notice that they're about to start running things very soon. Because Booker yesterday, see, this is him when he has actual help on the offensive end. This is Booker when he has great floor spacing around him and he can ISO go one-on-one against his man. And also when he has a player like Ayton on his team that can help carry some of the offensive load. It's just a lot easier to score when defenses actually have to pay attention to the other guys too and just can't turn all their attention to Devin Booker. 35 points though on 12 of 19 shooting, 6 of 10 from deep. Look, I'm telling y'all, Phoenix isn't giving out free wins no more. And that coach they have too, Igor Kakasov or whatever his name is, he actually had this team out there running legit plays that looked good. So if you used to be excited about your favorite team playing against the Phoenix Suns because it meant a free win, that's not about to be the case this year. Marvin Williams, Cody Zeller, Jeremy Lamb, and Nick Batum. The Hornets have a talent like Kemba Walker, and that is the supporting cast that they give him. How does a team, after all of this time, still end up with one of the worst supporting casts in the entire league? How, after all of this time, do you not put another single star player around your star player? Kemba Walker, get out. There's no way that I would drop 41 points like I did just to have Nick Batum brick a wide open 3 to win the game as bad as he did. That was as clean of a look as anyone could ask for, and he was still off by a country mile. There's no way that I dropped 41 points and 3 of the other starters on my team only dropped 5 apiece, and that the second best starter only dropped 10. I'm sorry, but there is just no way. Yes, Giannis Antetokounmpo was amazing, sensational, 25 points, 18 rebounds, 8 assists, and the Bucks as a whole played really well for their first real game under their new head coach. But if I am going off like Kemba Walker was yesterday, trying to win us that game and doing just about as good of a job as any single player in the NBA could do, but the rest of my teammates outside of Malik Monk completely failed me, then that has to be the eye-opening game. This has to be an eye-opener for Kemba Walker, right? He has to look around him and see absolute jank garbage as the rest of his team and decide that, yo, what am I doing wasting my career here? I gotta go. This has to be the season this happens, right? We have to talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves for just a quick second here. As not only did they play yesterday, we also got some more news regarding the Wolves and their situation trying to trade Jimmy Butler. As Adrian Wojnarowski said that after the Jimmy Butler practice incident, the Wolves had the audacity to go up on their already ridiculously high demand for Jimmy Butler.
No, but you said it, Rich. This is exactly what Tom Thibodeau wanted, which was him in the lineup on opening night. This is why the day that Jimmy came back and practiced, Tibbs won. He waited out his owner. He waited out Jimmy, got him back on the court. And that's why, listen, teams who talked to Minnesota after his first practice, literally the day after his first practice, Minnesota was asking for more then than they were before
amazing to me.
And he also said that if a trade is going to happen, it's not going to happen until around the All-Star break or the trade deadline, when Minnesota is going to have to come to reality and realize that they're about to lose Jimmy Butler for nothing.
Minnesota's not trading him. And so they're asking for packages that they know teams aren't going to agree to. Now, at some point, that will have to end as we get closer to the February trade deadline if they're going to trade him. I think you'll see a lot of teams circle back who've been involved in this before when they feel like Minnesota's ready to get realistic. But Tom Thibodeau's got what he wants. He's got him on the floor, and he knows there was no trade he could make that would help his team more, despite all the dysfunction, than keeping Jimmy Butler here.
And at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the Wolves just don't trade Butler at all, and he leaves for nothing next summer, because if they wait for the trade deadline, then they have to know they're not going to be getting anything at all in exchange for a player with only a couple of months left on his contract. So Tom Thibodeau is just hoping at this point that Butler learns to like it in Minnesota and that they can do enough winning to convince him to stay. And if that's the case, then yesterday sure as heck wasn't a good start, as the Wolves wound up losing to the Spurs 112-108. DeMar DeRozan scoring a game-high 28 points in his first official game as a Spurs, and Aldridge was great as usual, 21 points and 19 rebounds. And as for the Wolves, I do have to say that I was impressed by Wiggins at first. He started out the game extremely well, scoring 16 points by halftime, but then he just didn't do anything at all in the second half. And instead of the second half, it was Jeff Teague and Jimmy Butler who were trying to get the Wolves the win. So for the Wolves, the whole organization is just a mess, and they need a fresh start. And the Toronto Raptors have finally beaten the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yo, this is actually crazy. Watching this game, you almost forgot about the history these two teams have in the past few years, but that's just because these are two completely different teams than they were just a few months ago. It just shows you how quickly things can change in the NBA, as now we can say with confidence that the Raptors are the better team than the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it's not just going to be in the regular season. And that was on display last night. Now, I will give credit to where credit is due. The Cavs didn't go down without a fight. There was a point in time where they fell down by like 20, and at that point I was like, all right, game over, let's watch something else. But they started to fight back to the point where the Raptors had to keep their star players in the game just to make sure Cleveland wasn't able to complete the comeback. So I will give credit to Cleveland for at least putting up a fight, but in the end, Kyle Lowry and Kawhi Leonard were able to get the job done, and Lowry with one of the most efficient games of his career, 27 points on 10 of 12 shooting to go along with 8 assists, and Kawhi is still shaking off a bit of rust, but still had a good game with 24 points and 12 rebounds. Anthony Davis is coming for that MVP award this year, let me tell you, and he very well could just be the best player in the league this year, as I don't think there was any player who was able to match AD's level of dominance, and he showed that yesterday as he dominated the Houston Rockets. 32 points, 16 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks. I mean, if he's putting up numbers like that, you're gonna have a hard time beating New Orleans, especially if he's putting up numbers like that, while at the same time Nikola Mirotic and Julius Randle are both going crazy too. I just gotta say that I haven't seen a big man dominate the game like this since Shaq. KG was great, of course. Dirk Nowitzki was, of course, great too. Even young Dwight Howard had his moments, but Anthony Davis is still another breed just because he has all of the same tools that those players had and then some. You want the defense, mid-range touch, and competitiveness of Kevin Garnett. AD got you. The rim protection and athleticism of a prime D12. AD got you. The range and flat-out unguardability of Dirk Nowitzki. AD got you. He's like the perfect NBA player, and if Russell Westbrook can win MVP by leading the Thunder to, what was it, the 6th seed in the West, then by God, if the Pelicans get the 6th seed or higher, the same better happened for AD this year. Now though, let's just get into a quick roundup of all the other games from last night. And let's start with the Denver Nuggets, as they were able to get what could be a very important win down the road over the Clippers, 107-98. Nikola Jokic with 21 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists on the night. The Utah Jazz were able to outlast the Sacramento Kings thanks to 24 points from Donovan Mitchell, 22 points from Joe Ingles, 19 points, 15 rebounds, and 3 blocks from Rudy Gobert. But second overall draft pick Marvin Bagley only got 12 minutes of playtime in this one, so that's something to keep an eye on. The Memphis Grizzlies picked right back up where they left off last year as they got demolished by the Indiana Pacers, 111-83. Gotta start tanking early, I guess. Bogdanovich, the high man for Indy, with 19. Speaking of tanking, the Hawks gave up a 49-point second quarter to the Knicks yesterday, and it was over after that. 126-107, the final score. Tim Hardaway Jr., who was huge in that 49-point second quarter, finished the game with 31 points. Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin combined for 50 points and 20 rebounds on the night as the Pistons were able to beat the Nets 103-100. Caris LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie do look really nice for Brooklyn though, and something else to keep an eye on would be D'Angelo Russell being benched for a majority of the second half. And lastly, everyone makes sure that you don't get fooled by the Orlando Magic's early success like they had last year. That fooled me last year. I just want to make sure the same doesn't happen to you, as the first 10 to 15 games of the season can often be very deceiving, but still, the Magic were able to beat the Heat yesterday 104-101. Aaron Gordon with 26 points and 16 rebounds. Anyways, that is going to cover everything that we had to talk about today, guys. Be sure that you guys vote for the player of the day by clicking that eye icon in the top right corner of the video, but remember, the only players whose team won are eligible to win player of the day. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel with post notifications on for more daily videos, and so you can stay updated with everything that goes on in the NBA on a daily basis. Thank you once again for watching, though you guys already know that you are the real MVPs, but until tomorrow, I'm out of here. Peace!